Today I'm going to be taking a look at the 2011 reboot of Looney Tunes, the Looney Tunes Show. Taking our good old pal Bugs Bunny being all like, what's up, Doc? And Daffy Duck being like, you're despicable, and putting them together as roommates in a modern city. I always loved the concept and I was quite fond of this show growing up, but I haven't watched it in a very long time, so I'm going to be taking a look at the 2 best episodes, the 2 worst episodes, and 2 random episodes in order to determine, was this show a hidden gem? Does it deserve all the credit and to be praised as one of the best shows ever, or is it actually garbage? Was it awful, and does it not live up to today's standards of a good show? Those are the questions we're going to be trying to answer today, and if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. At 50k, I'm going to be cosplaying as Pops from Regular Show and doing the Milk Challenge. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite games, movies, shows, cartoons, all that good stuff, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's take a look at the Looney Tunes Show. So starting us off with a 8.2 rating on IMDb, what is said to be one of the best episodes is the episode Rebel Without a Glove. And this episode, it's dramatic. It deals with identity crisis, because at the beginning of this episode, Daffy is seen, just working on his truck, working on his little car there, and apparently there's not even anything wrong with it. He's just doing it to look smart and attractive for the women, even though he has a duck girlfriend, I'm pretty sure, Tanisha, Tanya, one of those 2 names. I'm pretty sure he's got a duck baddie all for himself, so I was always very confused what he's trying to procure here, because the only people that live on his neighborhood is like a 90-year-old woman, the owner of Tweety Bird and the cat, Sylvester, and also the, witch lady who is the mom of the orange kid. Yeah, it's very weird who he's trying to attract, but I mean, what can you say? He's Daffy. He's despicable, and he's gotta look sexy for all the bitches. So, the episode continues, and the gloves that he was using were Bugs' gloves, and he puts them all in the washer and the dryer to try and clean them for Bugs, and he ends up shrinking all of them, which leads to Bugs having his identity crisis, oh no! Because without his gloves, who is he? Is he even really a person? And we do get a lot of interesting stuff in between all of the main plot points. I guess that's why I kind of like this show growing up. It's just so grounded in a way to where you're in a Looney Tunes universe and crazy stuff can happen if you want it to, and it definitely does. But also there's just random in-between stuff, like Bugs asks Daffy why he wears the thing on his neck, and then it cuts to a flashback where he's like, "Grandmummy, can I please have your pearls when I grow up?"
Grandmummy, one day when I'm grown, will you give me your pearls?
And now we know the origin of Daffy's silly pearls. So it's just interesting stuff like that. But either way, the episode continues on to Lola sitting there, and I don't know why they decided to add this joke. I guess it just expands the world. But Lola's just sitting there talking to Speedy, the little Spanish mouse, and he's all like, what do you want to order? And Lola's like, how do you say taco in Spanish? Taco. How do you say burrito in Spanish? Burrito. Oh my gosh. So you're telling me English and Spanish are just the same this whole time?
How do you say, burrito?
Burrito.
What? So Spanish and English are the same? That's crazy.
Yeah, they made Lola really, really dumb in the series, which is always kind of weird because I feel like in old Looney Tunes, anytime Bugs would see Lola back in the day, Bugs would be like, Oh, Lola, did you sit here? Oh! Yeah, I feel like that's how Bugs was back in the day, but I guess they changed it. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny, so I'm not going to complain. But either way, Bugs gets there and he's tweaking about his gloves because he doesn't have any. He got lost getting to the pizzeria. He comes there all the time. How could he get lost? He's just not the same person without his gloves. So this gives him the immediate idea that he needs to go and get some new gloves. And at the same time, we have Daffy's plot, where Daffy learns that his name sucks and he needs to change it, and we get this really weird interaction with him and Porky, where Porky's trying to give him some new names, like, what about William? And Daffy's like, William? The kids on the playground will call me Willie, or Willie two-time. Willie is really dumb. And Porky's just like, why are you going to be at the playground? Daffy's like, that's not important.
William? Willie? Silly Willie Daffodilly?
Who would he say to say that?
All the kids on the playground.
What playground are you on?
I don't know. It's just scenes like that that are really funny, but also make me question, is Daffy a predator, or does he just like to play with kids? Either way, that sentence doesn't sound very good. So, yeah, it's just wild. But he decides to change his name to Professor, which leads to him actually going to a genuine university, and one of the professors quits, so he hires Daffy because his name is Professor. That's quite interesting. So now he's a professor and he could teach everybody about the wondrous world of checks and balances. And I actually think Daffy being a professor is really funny because he's teaching them all about, like, how the government works, like legislation and all that stuff, and everybody just believes him. Like, I understand you're in college, but you get some basis of it, and to have this duck just walk in and being like, so, the judiciary branch, they are the ones that deal with the juice. Oh, I need some juice in my life. Oh, God. That basically sums up what he's saying, but nobody questions him. They all just are like, remarkable! Remarkable! So, oh well. But Bugs, he gets some rebel, like, biker gloves. And this makes him start acting like a rebel. He gets a tattoo, he starts being a dick. He goes to Lola's house, and he's like, you, right here on my motorbike, babe. You wanna mess with me? What's up, Doc? You got a cock? I meant to say Glock. I better say Glock, not cock. I don't think Thug's bunny would want a cock, but maybe. Who am I to judge? So now Lola's parents hate Bugs. Bugs drives away, and then we get this entire plot line of Daffy just being like, how can I reach these kids? Particularly Bugs. That's a South Park reference if you won't seen that episode. But either way, he's trying to reach Bugs, and he asks Bugs to go to his class, and Bugs shows up, and they have a great talk. They fix everything, they talk about it, and then Porky's standing right there where they're talking like they're two different people. Like, Daffy's like, oh, Bugs, I'm so proud of you for going through the changes that you need to. You're not despicable. And Bugs is like, I really needed you to make this change, Professor. And then Porky's like, who are you guys? I don't even know you. And takes all their clothes away.
Trust. Trust.
Who are you guys?
So yeah, that was a decent way to end the episode. I really enjoyed this. You know, it's 22 minutes long, so they gotta pack it with a lot of different stuff, but I think both storylines mesh together well, and the way that they just end up colliding was really funny. I mean, seeing Bugs become Thug's bunny and just a outlaw just running around causing trouble was a lot of fun, and then seeing Daffy change his name to Professor and genuinely believe that he is a professor teaching college classes was really funny. And the way they tied it all together was a lot of fun, and there's just a lot of good comedic moments just thrown throughout there. Like, this show definitely, probably the majority of the time, isn't going to make me go but it's entertaining, and the jokes they do tell, they're not like the craziest jokes ever. They're just really grounded, but it's enough to always keep you entertained and always, like, keep a little chuckle on your face, you know, just a little. Yeah, so if I was to rate this episode 1 out of 10, I would probably give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think the episode flowed really well. I thought there was a lot to love about it. The two plot lines, the jokes in between. I just thought they used all the time they had really well to make a really good episode, and I could definitely see why this is one of the best that they have to offer. Taking a look at another one of the best episodes in the series with a 8.2 on IMDb, we have Semper Lie. And this episode tackles Daffy being a liar at the beginning, lying to somebody who wants him to do some government stuff, so he pretends to be Albanian, and then he also asks Bugs if he could help pay half of his parking ticket because he lives with him. Just a lot of Daffy shenanigans to start off this episode, as well as Bugs dealing with the fact that this weekend is the annual Peaches Festival. Peach cobbler, peach on a pie, peach steak, everything is just peaches, and Bugs really doesn't want to go, but he knows that it's going to disappoint Porky if he tells him the truth. And that is where Bugs lies to Porky, saying that he has to help Lola move out of her house. But once you lie, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to cause a lot of problems in your life, you see. One lie will spiral into a million, and man, does it just spiral for the worst in this episode. But either way, he lies to Porky, and then we get this scene that is just so on brand for Daffy, I guess, where Daffy is just standing at an ATM, just watching this woman input her PIN, grab the money, just like... And then Porky walks up and he's like,
Daffy? What are you doing here?
And he's like, I'm just waiting to see if anybody's gonna drop any money. What the fuck? Why, bro? And so, Porky starts telling Daffy about the Peach Festival, asks him if he wants to go, and Daffy's like, can't, I'm an alien. It's just scenes like that are so random. And Porky drops some money, and of course Daffy tries to steal it.
Thanks.
But at the same time, Daffy learns that Lola is moving and is going to be moving in with Bugs, potentially. Oh, gosh! And so Daffy now realizes in a panic that he needs to find a brand new place to live. And so he goes to the coffee place where Tanya, his girlfriend, works, and he's like, can I move in with you? And at the same time, Tanya's talking to this guy who's like, I think something's wrong with your fax machine. Oh, bummer. And then she just goes back to working.
Excuse me? One of your fax machines just ate my resume.
Bummer.
Oh, can I move in with you?
That was probably the most realistic interaction I've ever seen with a customer. I don't know. When you work in that type of industry, when people have the most, like, nonsensical desires, which I'm pretty sure, because she is not very concerned, or she's just being a dick, that the fax machine probably does work, he's just too pitiful to understand that, I just wish I could always say what's on my mind when I worked at those places. It would be so much more fun. It really would. But either way, Daffy's all like, please let me move into you. And she's all like, no. And she's like, I'm not moving in with anyone until I'm married. And Daffy gets down on one knee and he's like, darling! Of course she says no, so Daffy is still dealing with this crisis, and Bugs just keeps falling more and more into his lies, with now Lola thinking that he has a sister, Porky thinking that he has a sister, and he has to try and help his sister move, and all of it's just very weird. The lie just keeps going down, down, down for old Bugsy boy, and so he eventually tells Porky and Lola that she's moving to Albania, and he takes them to the airport where he has to dress up as a female Bugs Bunny. Oh man, I guarantee you when this came on screen, there was a 36-year-old man with a big old fat neck beard being like, Bugs Bunny girl, 34! That's probably what they were thinking the second this came on screen. They were like, oh my god, limitless potential! Limitless potential! And so Bugs actually has to get on a plane and fly to Albania. He flies all the way there, and because he's dressed up as a woman, he shows them their passport, and they're like, you are not Bugs Bunny. And so Bugs gets thrown into jail, and he is now stuck in an Albanian prison.
Problem?
At the same time, Daffy, because he had no place to live, he decided to join the Marines. Yeah, and he did. I really like when he's getting interviewed to join and he signs and he's going like, I had a goldfish once.
Welcome to the Marines.
This is gonna be fun. I've always liked marine life. I had a goldfish when I was a kid. Gene the goldfish.
I love marine life, because he doesn't actually know that he's joining the real life Marines. I just thought that was a really funny way to take it. And so he joins, we get a couple of scenes of Daffy just in the military, all that good stuff, and then we cut to Bugs being in an Albanian prison for 1 year. The United States Marines, they come in, they're bursting in, and they're like, we're the United States Marine Corps, we're taking you home, yeah, baby! And so Bugs is getting taken out of there, and I just can't believe stuff like this is allowed to air on Cartoon Network. I guess at the same time, it would have been regular show Fuzzy Dice with all the guns and stuff, but still, like, it's not like they're fighting animatronics. Like, this is a real war thing. It's the United States Marines going up against Albania, and they're shooting at each other. It's crazy. And Bugs is running, and then Daffy's all like, Bugs? Daffy? Oh, what are you doing here? You kicked me out. And then he starts confessing that he was just lying to Porky and Lola, and it just spiraled way too out of control. And Daffy's like, what? You lied, as he's chucking a grenade and shooting Albanians? God, can you believe I'm saying this for a Looney Tunes episode? What's going on? And so they start running away, and Daffy, as they hop on the helicopter, tells Bugs, "Know your role!" Ah, as he's just shooting everybody.
Know your role!
Wow, that's insane. What an insane plotline. And Daffy just leaves the military. Bugs goes back to normal and has to go to the Peach Festival anyway. So it was all pointless. He just wasted a year of his life in an Albanian prison. Yeah, if this isn't the craziest Looney Tunes plot you've ever heard, then I don't know what is. I mean, Bugs going to an Albanian prison while the world thought he was a spy. Daffy joining the Marine Corps and invading the Albanian prison and killing Albanians. Wow, what a world! What a world! That was absurd. But overall, a lot of fun. There were a lot of really good jokes. I love the progression of it. I really like how they're able to do the Bugs plotline and the Daffy plotline and just merge them super well all the way at the end. I think it's just a lot of fun. You get a lot of comedic stuff from Bugs' side, a lot of comedic stuff from Daffy's side that are both very different from each other, and it just makes the episodes really shine. If I was to give this episode a 1 out of 10, I would give this a 10 out of 10. It's just such a crazy plot, but it flows so well. The just madness of Bugs as he has to dress as a woman, fly to Albania, become a prisoner, Daffy joining the Marine Corps while also dealing with the fact that he doesn't have a home and then just leaving when he doesn't want to be there anymore. There's so much crazy stuff going on, but the episode still flows very well. It doesn't feel nonsensical. It feels like everything is very well thought out, which makes it a lot of fun. Definitely a 10 out of 10. One of their best episodes for sure. Taking a look at one of the worst episodes in the series with only a 7.0, that is not bad at all, Casa de Calma. And in this episode, Bugs and Daffy, they're going on a trip together, and the beginning of it is really just them traveling, nothing really too special there, and eventually they do get there. Daffy and Bugs are both looking to enjoy their vacations in different ways, until Daffy spots the baddie, okay? He sees an absolute turbo babe, loses his mind, and immediately tells Bugs that he cannot have that woman. By no means can he have that girl. So he immediately does what any guy would do. Instead of just walking up, giving her the chit chat, a little bit of the pizzazz, the charisma, he decides that he's going to go and do the high dive to prove that he is worthy of her. And Bugs, you know, because Daffy shoved him into the pool, is like, "I'm not going to let this happen, Daffy. You're not going to get done." So Daffy climbs all the way up there. He's about to take a little dive, and then just all of a sudden, "I've been blinded." And Daffy gets blinded by Bugs using one of those like tanning foil things, and Daffy falls and splashes the baddie, thus proving that he is not worthy. He gets punched in the face. And that is pretty much setting up what the entire episode is going to be. It's just a back and forth between Bugs and Daffy. Bugs doesn't necessarily have to try very hard for the baddie to really want his bunniness. Daffy just keeps messing up over and over again. Some of the scenes are a lot more funny than others. The high dive thing goes on for a very, very long time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, so unbelievably long. He keeps trying different high dives over and over again. That was kind of lacking, at least a little bit. And then there's this scene where Bugs and Daffy are talking about the girl, and Daffy goes on a rant about how people who say potato are buffoons and should be excluded from society. That was kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know, the first like 7 minutes of this are a little bit boring. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It just kind of drags a little bit. There's not a whole lot going on until they go to the golf course, and Daffy is trying to catch up with the baddie who's ahead by like 2 or 3 holes, and he just starts driving and they end up in a sand trap, and he's like, "Sand? In a golf course? It's like some kind of trap. Who would put this here? What is it doing here?"
Sand? What's sand doing in the middle of a golf course? It's like some kind of trap.
I like how stupid he is. I enjoy that aspect a lot. I enjoy it a lot. And Daffy, he keeps getting hurt really bad in this episode, and at one point he falls into a water trap at the golf course, and Bugs just is perfectly okay with his friend getting eaten by an alligator. This episode gives old Looney Tunes kind of vibes, because the majority of the episodes for the show are a lot more grounded, like they could be about any other show, or it could even be live action with the kind of plots that they're doing. But with this, it's very Looney Tune-esque, where crazy, hurtful things keep happening to the characters, and they just keep getting bombarded with worse and worse things. It's particularly Daffy. This really is just the Daffy torture episode. And so, oh yeah, they go to the beach, and the girl's chilling, so Daffy's all like, "Oh, Bugs, you must take me parasailing, and so they do that, and that leads to some good scenes where Daffy is trying to riz her up while Bugs is just dragging him back and forth, and eventually he just starts insulting her, but in just such a dumb way, because he's like, "Look at me, woman! Look at me! I'm your future ex-husband!"
Whatever your name is, point your looking balls at your future ex-husband!
What? I guess you're already plotting for the marriage failure, but at least you know your limits, I guess. That was pretty wild. And then we get one of those cuts in the episode where it does one of the songs, which is always something that I loved about the Looney Tunes show. Just in between episodes, you would sometimes get songs, or Wile E. Coyote, all that stuff. And this one was Queso Bandito, and it was alright. It was just about Speedy going around to Mousetown stealing cheese. It kept me entertained, to say the least.
Till I run them every time.
It's a nice little break from what's going on. And, yeah, so then we get this scene with Bugs and Daffy, and they want massages, and Daffy sees that his masseuse's name is Joe. So he's like, "Ugh, Joe, that must be a man. I don't want a man to touch me." And so he switches it with Bugs, and Bugs is named Leslie. And Joe walks in, turns out to be a very attractive woman, starts giving Bugs the good, and Leslie walks in, and, I don't know, it looks like the type of guy who, his mother probably didn't make it during birth. He's just that large. Yeah, that's a sad thing to say, but he's a very large man. And he starts just digging into Daffy, just hurting him real bad. We get a lot of, comedic scenes with that. Now, the thing about this episode is it's basically all Daffy torture, but Daffy is the kind of character who deserves it a little bit. He's not the best person, so it's not like you're really complaining. It's not like a Squidward torture episode or something, where Squidward is just trying to enjoy his life and SpongeBob and Patrick are making his life a living hell. Daffy's kind of asking for it. Just a little bit. And so they go into the heat room, and we get a lot of just visually funny scenes where like Bugs isn't putting enough heat on to help with Daffy's muscles, and I really just like how it's animated.
My back is killing me! Put more heat on!
And then the security guard for the baddie is in there, and he just grabs Daffy and stretches him, and he's just like, "Eureka! I'm cured!" And then he just punches him in the face.
Eureka! I'm cured!
I don't know, there's a lot of there's a lot of visual, like, comedic, physical gags in this episode, and I think it works a lot, but it does feel very different from the rest of the show. And then Daffy turns into a baby because he is in mineral water for too long. That was kind of whatever. Kind of a little bit unnecessary, if you ask me. But overall, it's a okay episode. It's hard for me to describe a 22-minute episode where so many different things are happening that don't really correlate to each other. But either way, it's still a lot of fun. Some of the parts of the episode does drag, specifically the parts with the pool. Some of that was just, The golf course is where it heated up a little bit, and then from there on, I thought it was pretty decent. So if I was to rate this episode 1 out of 10, I would probably give it like a simple 7. I think 7 out of 10 is good. Yes, it drags, but it makes up for it with a lot of really comedic scenes and a lot of really good moments throughout the episode. So even though it's boring here and there, I'm not gonna say that that's really that bad, because it does make up for it. Taking a look at another one of the worst episodes with a 6.9 rating on IMDb, we have The Ridiculous Journey. And I can see why this is considered to be one of the worst episodes in the series, because it doesn't follow Bugs or Daffy. Instead, we have Sylvester the Cat, Taz, and Tweety Bird. And I don't know, I don't think they're good enough to make an episode all about them. If you're watching like classic Looney Tunes, and you have a silly little cat named Sylvester going, "I'm gonna get you, Tweety Bird," meow, then I guess it's entertaining because it's just 3 minutes of the same thing. But when it goes on for 22 minutes, I don't really care about their characters that much. I can't help it, and all the stuff that happens to them, again, didn't really find it that interesting. So they're all fighting at the beginning because they all want to eat each other, and they end up in this box, and they're shipped to the Arctic or wherever. They're in the snow. And I do enjoy this conversation that they initially have about wanting to eat each other. And Sylvester's all like, oh, you tempt me. And Tweety's like,
By taking a bath? What? You got problems, man.
My fault. I didn't do nothing.
You tempted me.
By taking a bath? You got problems, man.
I enjoyed that. I thought that was funny. And then my enjoyment went from here. Yes! It's just bored. So bored. There's nothing happening that's interesting. So they start walking, they run into a Yeti. The Yeti's getting hunted by Black Jack Shellac. He's, I guess, an okay villain for the episode, if you even want to call him a villain. He's just hunting them the entire time, and he's okay. I would expect him to have more one-liners, or maybe, I don't know, if he talked a little bit different, like, oh, I am Jack Black Shellac, oh, yes, I don't know, just something a bit more silly. Then he could have been more fun, I guess. I don't know, I just wasn't really vibing with him. And so they eventually stumble upon these bears, and the dad bear just seems to hate his family. Like, hates his dumbass son, hates his wife, just hates everything about it. And they decide to hitch a ride with that guy, ride all the way back into the city, and Blackjack Shellac catches them. They swerve off, they end up in the desert, but Blackjack Shellac catches them again. I don't know, I'm kind of skipping over a bunch of stuff, because I'm not gonna lie, it's like mostly the same thing over and over again, just mainly boring. And they eventually get caught by him, and it turns out that he's working for Yosemite Sam, and Yosemite Sam was like, "Hoo doggy! Oh, thank you so much to my cousin Jack Black Shellac. He got them animals back for you." Great. Yeah, this one was really boring. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. I feel like if you were to like those characters, then you would probably have a much better time. But I'm just not a fan of the cat with a lisp, the Tweety Bird, and Taz, who can barely talk, just for 22 minutes, just bickering the entire time. Like, I don't care about the bond that they're gonna form on this journey or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. And just the majority of it was really boring. So if I was ready to rate this 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 10. Just, it's so unbelievably boring. And the final episode that I'm going to be taking a look at with a 7.6 on IMDb is the episode Shell Game. And this episode follows Daffy breaking his recliner in some really funny opening scenes. Like, there's one where he's like saying, "Oh, it's perfect, nothing can go wrong with it," and then he flips it, and then it literally just flings him across the room.
Well, then get it fixed. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I thought that was pretty funny, and then a decent way to set up the episode. So Bugs just, trying to be a nice guy, he gets Daffy a brand new recliner, and then we get Daffy's origin story of his old recliner and how he worked so hard to get it. So yeah, that's our first 3 minutes. It's basically all about this recliner, but Bugs is, he's heartbroken by this story, so he's like, "Oh, Daffy, my boy, we must go to the thrift store and try to get it back." So they go there, no luck. And that is when, as they're leaving, Bugs hits a turtle with his car. And he's like, "Oh no, my shell."
Are you okay?
You hit me.
"Oh no." And so Bugs gives him his phone number, and that is our main plot line for the episode. It's all about this turtle guy and his cracked shell. So Daffy and Lola, they eventually go to a warehouse and try to find the same recliner that Daffy had. That's our major B plot for the episode, and I honestly thought it was okay. There's some good moments and some good jokes that come from that. I guess the main one is towards the end of it, where Daffy takes a shit in a display toilet and then they have to run away.
No doors, no judgment.
How do I say this? I think those are display toilets.
I thought that was kind of funny. Everything else I could, take it or leave it. I mean, it doesn't ruin the episode, it doesn't really slow it down, but it's just a B plot that I could, if I never saw it, I wouldn't really care. The A plot is actually pretty interesting, with Bugs having to give more and more money to this silly little turtle, eventually going to his house and getting his groceries. Okay, and then he has to buy a large amount of caviar. A little suspicious. And Bugs, he just keeps trying to learn more and more about this turtle. but the turtle seems to be closed off. He's on the phone with the shell guy, but he won't let Bugs talk to him. And then we get this scene where the turtle just does like the fucking Grinch face. Like he's just like, ooh, and just like his mouth starts curving upwards. I thought that was funny.
$1.
Ooh, you know what? Unfortunately, my checkbook's at home.
Well, you know where to find me.
It's very obvious at this point in the episode that the turtle is very much a villain, and he's scamming Bugs. Bugs goes home and he learns a little bit more, starts researching online, and apparently the turtle has been pulling this scam where he'll get people to run into him just out of nowhere. And you know what, that got me thinking, there's definitely people like that in our world. Can you imagine waking up one day and just being like, oh, man, life's really hard and I need money, I'm just gonna go run in front of a car. Hope I can get some money from them. That'll be great. Oh, yeah. Like, can you believe wanting to do that? And I guarantee there's somebody out there who got hit by a car once, got lots of money, and was like, well, shucks, I'm gonna go do that again. And there's probably a way to get away with it, you know? You could definitely make it look like an accident somehow, some way. But either way, still pretty despicable. And where the episode gets really crazy is where Porky, he comes over, and apparently he just hit Cecil the turtle. So him and Bugs go to Cecil's apartment, and they confront him, they have him on the ropes, and then I never expect it in a kid's cartoon, especially Looney Tunes. I know guns were prominent in the old show, but that was just more okay. This is being shown on Cartoon Network, and Bugs is all like, your game is over, Cecil, you're done. And Cecil's just like, I don't think so, and just pulls out a gun. And it's just holding them at gunpoint and even says that he's about to murder Bugs and Porky.
Come on, Porky. We're going to the police.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Drop the shell.
I mean, it kind of works in like the sense of a hunter, like, what's his name? Edward Fudd? The hunter guy from the old Looney Tunes where he's trying to hunt bugs, and there's a bunch of shenanigans with that. But this is just like a real world where cops are involved, and Bugs and Porky are considered nice, real people, not some juicy, tender animal meat, and he just has a gun on them. That's crazy. That's crazy. And apparently he bought the recliner that Daffy used to have while he was at the thrift store waiting for Bugs, and Bugs tricks him into reclining, which sends him flying and he's able to defeat Cecil. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I thought this episode was pretty gosh dang entertaining, especially the Bugs and Cecil plot. I really like the progression of it. It's not the most hilarious plot you'll ever find, which it doesn't need to be. It was just a slow build as you start to see this evil turtle reveal more of his evilness and his stupid evil laugh where Bugs is like in earshot and he's just like, oh, ho, 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 ho. I thought that was pretty funny. It was a slow, nice build, and I liked the reveal. I liked the ending. The gun really shocked me, so that was a lot of fun. And just matching that with all the Daffy and Lola stuff, I guess that still worked out decently well. It's not like that stuff was devoid of interest or entertainment. It was still good, just comparing it to the Bugs plot and the turtle, it just kind of fell a little bit out of place, but it's still related to the episode. So if I was to rate this episode out of 10, I would probably give it a solid 7. It was pretty good, kept me entertained the entire time. There's nothing really bad about it. A 7 is still really good, but there's nothing that overly wowed me to push it into being anything better than that. So is the Looney Tunes show actually good? Of course it is. It was really well written. The only episode that I didn't like out of these was Ridiculous Journey, and that's just solely because I couldn't relate to the characters. It's just Sylvester, Tweety, and Taz, and I just don't like them very much personally, but I could definitely see a bunch of people enjoying them and the story they went on. They had a lot of good physical comedy, a lot of good bonding in that episode, so there was highlights there, but the majority of the episodes that I checked out, I had a lot of fun. Even Casa de Calma, which is said to be one of the worst episodes in the show, that was a lot of fun. It felt like a good mix of the Looney Tunes vibe with classic Looney Tunes, and there was a lot of physical comedy in there. Still got a lot of great laughs in Shell Game, Rebel with a Glove, Semper Lie. All those were just really well told stories, and I really liked the way that the majority of them, they meshed Daffy's plot with Bugs's plot to create just a really good like finale for the episode. And I think overall it's a lot of fun to watch these shows, and I'm honestly surprised that the Looney Tunes show only got 2 seasons, because anytime I talk about this show with anyone, they seem to look upon it quite fondly. I mean, it obviously doesn't live up to the legacy of the original because the original went on for so long and was so popular for decades, but still, this was a lot of fun, and I'm surprised. This definitely could have been like a 6-season show with a bunch of silly shenanigans just like this in this modern world, because these characters work so well in modern situations. Daffy is hilarious in a modern world, same with Bugs, and I felt like they really meshed. I feel like it was a very good show, and I'm genuinely kind of saddened that there wasn't more of it, you know? But either way, still a very good show. I hope you guys liked this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.